Exactly. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here. I got my guest, Curt Covert from Smirk and Dagger and Smirk and Laughter games, and that's what we're kind of focusing on tonight. Some of those Smirk and Laughter games that are coming out, eliciting broad guffaws and laughs and that emotional reaction when you play them. And this is a game, look, I'll be honest, I've heard you describe this next one. Yeah. I've seen you talk with Z about it, and you're going to have to tell me again because this one just seems really different from anything in my collection. Let's talk about Before There Were Stars. What's going on with this game?
So I feel like this is the most emotionally satisfying storytelling game I've ever seen. This was
Tales of the Arabian Nights type of storytelling?
You know, it's more about creation myths.
Okay.
So you are an ancient lore giver, and you have a set of 12 star-pipped dice. Take them and you cast them to form the night sky in front of you. Then you scan the heavens looking for constellations that you might see that night, which are represented by cards at the center of the table. So if you can match up the 2 and the 4, and that's what, you have those dice in front of you, you can take the owl as a keyword into your story.
Yeah, and then I've got the owl and lightning on left and right. Those would become part of your story?
Exactly. So, and then there are 4 chapters of your story. So in the myth side of the card, it's in the beginning, and you use these 2 keyword concepts to tell the story of how the universe began. And then, how did our civilization get here? How did we get here? It's the dawn of civilization, and then a great hero emerges, and then finally, end of days. How does this wrap up? Is it going to be doom and gloom, or is there going to be, kind of hope at the end of the world? Now, what's great about this game, and I am not a fan of most storytelling games, and my problem with some previous games is that I think that when you're really involved in telling a story, you have kind of a vision for the story. And a lot of storytelling games are intended to be collaborative. And unfortunately, this means that people are going to take your story widely off track, and it won't be the story that you had wanted. Or sometimes there's like judging involved, and it's like, really, who can tell the funniest joke? Which is great, but it's not the only way to play a storytelling game. This game breaks down all of those problems for me. The first thing is that there is scoring, but it's secret. So as we're going around the table and no one is changing your story, you own it top to bottom. So it's essentially the story of your culture that you're creating. And after each chapter, we all pass around these cloth offering bags, which are just like this, really nice kind of looking bags.
Okay.
Cloth, and you pass them around, and people are putting these little star points into the bags. 2, 3, 4 points, not very many points, just like, a way to recognize something that you heard.
And that's secret? They don't see what you're putting in.
That's right. The scoring is secret. And importantly, what you're scoring for is not who was the best presenter, not who even told necessarily the best story or told the funniest joke, though that could happen too. What you're listening for to score is who had the coolest moment in their story. And anyone can have a great moment. So it really levels the playing field. Someone who is a great storyteller, quote unquote, doesn't necessarily win this game, because it really requires someone to be scored on how did they engage with people? How did, what creativity did they use? Were they able to, even if they started rough and their story was all over the place, in round 3, all of a sudden they pulled it all together. And even that, people will put big points in the bag because they're like, oh, wow, all those disparate elements you just made really cool sense out of.
And you're selling on this. It doesn't take that person that's a big entertainer. Yeah. This could be somebody that just emotionally gets it with the way the story lays out, and they can score as many points as the person who's a natural showman.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, interesting.
And then my favorite part of the game, and this was actually my contribution to the design, which was a terrific one, by the way, by by Alex Cutler, Alex Wilkerson, and Matt Fantastic. But my contribution was, as we would play with my playtest groups, we would all at the end of the game, because Scoring a Secret, we haven't really exchanged, any views about what we heard. And we would just do that naturally and just like talk about the stories afterwards. But I wanted a mechanic in the game that would actually make that sharing part of the game. So there's just one bonus point at the end of the game, and it's the appreciation round. And you go around and you highlight one or two things you heard that you really thought were cool. And then you give that last 1 point to your favorite moment. And what's wonderful about this is that I have never seen a game where one player collected all those bonus points. Almost all the time, what really happens is everyone at the table gets recognized in some way during this process for something cool that they did. So even if they're like, they walked into the game and like, I'm not really a storytelling person, but someone said, hey, I really loved when you told that story about the goddess who wept and filled the oceans. That was gorgeous, man. And so you walk away from the table having heard up to 6 really cool stories, and someone liked yours. And that is just an amazing feeling to walk away from this game with.
This game would not fit with Smirk and Dagger.
Correct. And that is one of the things that...
You nailed it. Yeah. You nailed it. This goes with Smirk and Laughter. It's that emotional response that you're getting. That's not a punch in the gut,
right,
but is just a shared experience with probably a little laughter, maybe a little poignancy, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
So it plays 2 to 6, 3 to 6?
3 to 6, yeah.
3 to 6. About 30 minutes?
Yeah, this one goes, it can go from 30 to maybe even an hour. But there is, it does come with a companion app, which is really just a fancy egg timer. Okay. You have about a minute to tell each of the sections, and
is that your egg timer going off?
That's the microwave.
Sure.
But you don't have to fill that minute, and if the minute runs out, no one's going to cut you off. That's not the point of it. It's really just to keep the game kind of flowing, to let people know, yeah, all right, your rough minute is just coming to a close, so kind of start wrapping up. And that kind of keeps the game moving.
And that's before there were stars coming out?
This will be Gen Con, so August.
Oh, Gen Con release, very nice. And you'll have one booth with both of the logos, I'm assuming, right?
Yes, I will. Yep. And we're going to have lots of different events. This is a game that will be hard to really demo well in the booth. So we added a whole bunch of events so that you can actually just experience the game.
Yeah, that would be. I'm trying to think of how you would demo that game. Just doing a little part here, or it'll be you're going to kind of extract parts of the game out and show people what they look like.
Yeah.